Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stevie Dainjada Tolo from Gemini Multimedia Ltd. Today we're going to talk about those new students, those interns, those trainees, or even those amateurs, those who are not trained as interpreters, those who have not gone through the school system. Many of them end up cursing this area. They say there's no opportunity, nobody calls them, they don't have any meetings, no proposals, they are jobless, and we've seen many of them end up after a few months of trial, or sometimes after a few years, they end up delving into all the professions like teaching in primary schools, secondary schools, teaching as English teachers. I'm talking about the case of those who are native francophones and those who learned English at school. So they end up teaching. Others end up working in embassies. Maybe they work in social cultural department, news department, communication departments of different embassies. Those who study, for example, Portuguese, those who studied Arabic, and those who have master's degree in Arabic, or those who have master's degree in translation or bachelor's degree in translation studies. But specifically for interpreters, they end up working in embassies, they end up working in schools, teaching kids or adults, or sometimes they end up becoming translators. They are trained interpreters, but they end up becoming translators. And many others get into something else. They can work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that's all good. That's really good. But the moral of the story is that they do not end up working as interpreters, which they wished for in the very beginning, because of frustrations, because of lack of people who are already in the field to onboard them, lack of mentorship. Okay, we are to be blamed. We who are already in the field, we have been in the field for so many years. Those who have trained them in school and who have not given them opportunities to work, let alone internships. But it is also their own responsibilities, because once they complete their training, or for somebody who is not trained as an interpreter, who is interested in interpreting and who doesn't have prior training, it's not bad. That's what I was. I started just like an amateur. I'm still really fond of English. I love English so much. I was a good student in high schools. I had the best scores. I still have all the marks there if you doubt. And when I completed my studies in Ghana in 2010, I came back to Gabon 2011, and I had the opportunity because people saw me on TV. I started on television as a host of a show. There was the first show called English on TV, and then there was another show called Bridge, and that's where people got to know me. Like, who is this guy? He speaks good English. Oh wow, he speaks English well. Oh yeah. And then people started calling me, for private courses. And then I had this official proposal from one client that I was teaching English, and then they were like, okay, we were told you're an interpreter. That was the client, but the one I was teaching told them that I'm his teacher and I'm very good, I can do the job. So I worked with another friend of mine who was my co-presenter, and it was our first time in the booth. We were like, what the hell is this? So we went for a 6 solid day training. It was in the middle of the bush of Gabon. The result was a lot of people congratulated us. They was like, oh my god, thanks to your interpreters, the training was smooth, it was so cool. So there were some sessions on simultaneous, and there were outdoor sessions or training, practical, hands-on experience teaching on the field that was consecutive. And I did it pretty well, and they were like, hey, you guys are good interpreters. And the client was like, do you guys mind relocating to Kenya, because we need people with your skills? At that time, the Kenyan market was not flooded as today. And I said, why not? So that was my first trip to Kenya, 2011, 2012, and early 2013. I relocated back to Ghana because in Kenya it was very tough to live. So back to Ghana, that's what I started, tapping in everywhere, trying to be known. I started getting noticed, and people were like, this guy is good. I gave them some of the proofs. Some of them tried me. My first experience in Ghana was with USID. And then somebody heard about me because they were in short of interpreters. There was the high season, the peak season, where you can't find any interpreter available. And they were like, "Are you sure you can do the work?" I said, "Yes, I've done it before." They put me in the booth, a very intense training, and it was going both ways. And they told me it was the first 15 minutes just to try me. The 15 minute turned to be a full day, and the full day became a 3-day, a 2-day attempt. I remember it was 2 days. And when I completed, they gave me my cash, and they were like, "Hey, you get some skills. You need to fine-tune your craft." And that's where I started doing a lot of exercises, simulations, and I was learning my own way. I know it's unconventional, it's unorthodox, but that's how I perfected myself. Everybody have their own ways. Just like a football player who has never been to school, but he has been, fine-tuning his craft. He has been, how do we call it? He has been toning. He has been working hard. So that's how I got noticed, and then people started calling me here, there, and I became very, very busy. And that's how my experience was as an interpreter. So if you are trained, especially those who are trained, you always keep complaining. What you can do, the basic thing is this: 1, offer your services as a volunteer. Yes, you can be an intern or a volunteer. Just go volunteer for consecutive, even though you were trained for simultaneous. Volunteer for consecutive, volunteer for simultaneous interpreting. Give them that for free, because people are so hungry. Those new students are so hungry, desperate for cash. They want people to know them because they have a certificate. Certificate doesn't justify performance. You need to show people how good you are. If you don't show people how good you are, who's going to call you? Even though you have a master's degree, PhD, remember, interpreting is just like mechanics. If you can't repair, nobody's going to bring their car to you. So you have to prove to people. And please forget about that nonsense of "I'm bilingual, I speak the other language." It doesn't mean anything. There are many people who speak many languages. I remember that there was a Senegalese participant who happened to study in the US, a very good bilingual guy, but he told me that, "Hey, I speak 2 languages, even 3, including Wolof, English, French, and Wolof. But hey, I can never do your job because this is a different level. It involves, the work of the brain, and I can't do that. I can't follow 2 rabbits at the same time. I can't. Even if you want me to interpret simultaneously from French into Wolof, which is my native language, because this is the first language I spoke when I was born, since my childhood." That's what he said. So interpreting is not just speaking 2 languages. Many people speak. Now the problem is to pick from one speaker and to talk to a set of speakers by conveying the same ideas in real time. That is the problem. How are you going to construct your speech? How are you going to tell what he said in real time, without hesitation, without mistakes, and having the same knowledge as the person who speaks? That's the miracle of interpreting. That's why people say we are magicians. So work hard. Don't give up. Try to be known. Talk to people. Advertise. Market your skills. Tell people that you are interested. Don't tell them you are excellent. It's a very bad statement. I won't train, I'm an interpreter. Once you are trained, you have the status of an interpreter, but that doesn't qualify you to be in the booth. You need to show proofs. You need to tell people. You have to demonstrate that you're good. There are many people who were trained, and I'm telling you, so far, the past 15 years, although they're in the booth, but nobody wants to call them. Ask yourself why. So that's how funny this job is. This job requires humility. Let me give you a secret. Anytime I have a new meeting, like this one, this is a current meeting I'm having, it's about health. Anytime I have a new offer, I have a new meeting, I always put myself in the shoes of a newcomer, a beginner, somebody who doesn't have experience. I never pretend that I know. That's why I have to go down, write my glossaries, jot some things down, pretend I don't know, because anything can happen. Anything can embarrass you because you're so confident that you can do it. You don't need preparation. You'll be surprised. And remember, this job is very, very ungrateful. When you perform well, nobody claps. But when your performance is crap, nobody wants to work with you anymore. Just remember that. Alright, my conclusion is this: get trained, go to school. I didn't go through any formal training, but I built my case, like they said. I got to be accepted. From what? Not because I was trained or I have a certificate, but because people saw my deeds, my acts, my actions, and people were like, this guy, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. So it is what it is. I'm Stevie Tutolo from Gemini Multimedia Ltd. I don't want to go more than 10 minutes. Take care. Bye-bye.